What's going on, everybody, and welcome to this basketball edition of Tape Don't Lie. Cam Smith alongside my buddy Tim Doyle. And Tim, let's break down this 2020 NBA draft class. And we're going to start with the guards. And one of the guards that's at the top of the list is North Carolina's Cole Anthony, a for sure lottery pick.
No doubt about it. I believe a for sure lottery pick, and just falls out of bed and can get buckets. Now, a disappointing year team-wise for North Carolina, but Cam, this guy can fill it up.
Yes, he can. And he's the son of former NBA player Greg Anthony. So you know he comes from good stock. So let's get into this film of Cole Anthony and see what makes him the best point guard, or at least one of the best point guards that the NBA franchise is going to try and position themselves in to get for their franchise. Tim, let's jump into this footage of Cole Anthony, one of the best scoring point guards that we saw on the college basketball level. And this is a kid that, as you mentioned, North Carolina struggled, but when it came for him scoring the basketball, he was the guy for Roy Williams. He averaged 19 points per game on the season.
Well, here's a play where it's basically just give me the ball and get out of my way. I'm going to take this guy one-on-one. And this is next level ability. When you have that kind of face value, you got your defender, it's you and him, and you can create your own shot. There's really nothing you can do there.
Not at all. And I love how he baited his defender a little bit, saying, okay, well, you're not going to step up. Well, I'm going to launch this three in your face. But this is another area of his game that he allows his really skill set to show. We saw him on the right side of the court. Now this is on the left side, where he just picks that basketball up instead of crossing it over and putting it back on the floor, and just raises and fires.
Yeah, it's a hard shot, especially he's right-handed. He had that dribble in his right hand. That was opening night when he had 34 points and went crazy against Notre Dame and let everybody know that Cole Anthony was going to be a force this year. How would you grade this year, Cam? North Carolina goes 14-19, 6-14 in the ACC. How would you grade Cole Anthony's performance at North Carolina?
Well, I'll put these factors into it. We know the Tar Heels had a lot of injuries throughout the year, so they had guys in and out of the lineup, so there were a lot of chemistry issues. But if you're looking at what Cole Anthony had on his shoulders for being the guy every time offensively, for having the responsibility of leading this team as a freshman, then I'm going to give them two separate grades. As a team, I want to give North Carolina a D, because we know how great North Carolina is as a program. But I'm going to give Cole Anthony a B solo individually for what he was able to do and what he put on his shoulders to really have North Carolina as one of those teams where, yeah, they're having a down season, but you really can't sleep on them because you have a guy like Cole Anthony that can score. And we're seeing it here against Duke, the rival, where he slows himself up. And that's so difficult to do coming off a ball screen. Look at his momentum, Tim, as he comes off of this Garrison Brooks ball screen and how he pulls himself back up to avoid the charge.
You know, what I watched when I was breaking down his film is how when he had the ball, watch how everybody knows who he is. Now, this is an example. You go up against Syracuse, you're going to see that 2-3 zone. You just don't want to settle for threes. Excellent job at getting into the teeth of the defense there. His shooting percentages were down this year because there was so much pressure on him. Only 38% from the field, 35% from three, but that's just an outstanding one-on-one individual play.
Yeah, and he struggled in this game against Syracuse. Those were two of his only 5 points in the game. But this is him going against 6'7", 6'8", even a little bit above that, 7-footers to get that basket. And again, he's going to be able to translate those skills to the next level in the league. All right, Tim, we saw the scoring ability of Cole Anthony. Now let's look at him passing the basketball and getting others involved into the game. Now he averaged 3 assists on the season. And this is him, again, you mentioned this with his scoring. All eyes are on number 2 in that Carolina blue, but that allows him to get his teammates involved with giving them easy baskets.
Yeah, what's interesting was Roy Williams, right at the start of the season, called this North Carolina team the least gifted team he has ever coached. Now, shame on Roy. You don't put that thought in college kids' heads, but he might have been telling the truth, and Cole knew that as well. So Cole Anthony's probably like, well, I guess it's better me shooting the ball than anybody else. I think this is a huge question mark about his game, Cam, making others better around him. But it's so hard to tell because, frankly, he didn't have the same ACC talent that North Carolina is used to having.
Yeah, and depending on where he goes in the draft, he has a lot of responsibilities, as we mentioned, on his shoulders scoring the basketball. But when you're allowed to run an NBA team, which is a lot of questions that people and GMs and scouts have for him, can he run this team, right? So we've taken into account the Carolina injuries, the mix and matches of lineups and the chemistry issues. But that's a point where he's going to be able to pick and roll situations, and this guy loves it because he says, hey, I never seen a passer like that in a long time, maybe since Raymond Felton in the North Carolina jersey. But that's a situation where he has to be able to understand that he has to run a team. These are situations where he has to understand that, hey, I got 4 other guys on the court. I got to give the ball up, and he got himself in trouble.
Yeah, I mean, this was just a case of him just trying to do a little bit too much. And I think that was really the theme of Cole Anthony in his 1 year at North Carolina. I talked to Justin Pierce, his teammate at North Carolina. And the reason why I talked to Justin Pierce, well, he's my neighbor in Glen Ellen. So I was just like, what do you think of Cole Anthony? And he said he has that alpha dog mentality that I could do anything on a basketball court. And that's really going to be his adjustment. It's a whole different ball game going to high school or college. And then, well, then you take the leap to the NBA, and now you're dealing with a whole different animal altogether. So this guy's got a world of potential. I think figuring out who you are. Are you a 1? Are you a 2? Cam, what do you think he is? More of a point or more of a 2?
Well, I'm going to say that he's going to be more of a point just position-wise. Now, we know that the NBA is positionless basketball. If you take into account his size and what he's able to do, he's going to be a scoring point guard. But what I want him to work on is more that change of pace. Because when he goes downhill, he's like a Tasmanian devil. He has no control. He's just going to go right to the rim and try and get a score. And that got him in trouble a lot of times, as we see on this play here. Now, take into account, Tim, that he did have that meniscus injury. All right, so he's coming in and playing hurt, and it's a situation for him where he's coming back and saying, well, I got to do something. My team needs me. I don't have much around. I got to make sure that I'm scoring the basketball. But we're going to see his growth as he gets ready for the NBA draft in 2020. Okay, Tim, we talked about scoring, assisting, but basketball is more than just offense. Let's get into some defense, man. I know that's your forte when you play your college basketball. And let's look at Cole Anthony on the help side and what he's able to do and really bait players to get steals like this.
Yeah, that's what I was doing mostly on defense, was gambling a lot. And this is a great job of jumping the passing lanes. Cole finished his high school career at Oak Hill, but he started it in Queens, New York at Malloy High School. When you play on the playgrounds, you got to have that burst. I think that's a big question about his game. You know, a lot of scouts told me he's a less explosive Colin Sexton. I like that comparison as far as someone who can go out there and get buckets. But I think just finding his role on what particular team he goes to is going to be key, because when I see him, Cam, I don't think unbelievable athlete. I think unbelievable scorer.
Yeah, 100%. And at 6'3", what he's able to do scoring the basketball is great. But what I like about him on the defensive end of the basketball is that he's able to move his feet and use his quickness. Now, he's not, as you mentioned, that explosive athlete, but he gets his body in great positions where he's able to make plays like that, where he uses his size to swallow guys, smaller ball handlers that are trying to go to the rim.
I have no doubt about it. This guy is going to be a 10-plus year pro. He's the son of Greg Anthony, so he gets it. You know, during the coronavirus pandemic, he donated meals to nurses and doctors across New York City. He's just going to be aware. Can I throw this comparison at you? I think he's going to be like an Austin Rivers. I think he's going to be like an Austin Rivers. And now some people say, well, Austin Rivers is only in the NBA because his dad's a head coach. It's like, Austin Rivers plays. Like, he gets in games. Like, he's signed big contracts. Is he an NBA All-Star? No. But the guy's going to end up having an illustrious career. He's going to make a whole lot of bank. I think this guy is going to be a long-term successful pro. But if I could give him some marketing advice, he wore like the glasses. I say bring back the rec specs. Bring back like the Eric Dickerson old school rec specs and just own it. Just own it. Like, everyone's looking for their brand. Like, Kawhi's wearing the weird sneakers now. Own the rec specs. I think that's a good marketing play.
So you want him to wear the Horace Grant goggles and bring those back into play, 90s, right? That's what you want.
Yes, because well, everybody, you got to have something. Schroeder has like the weird blonde stripe. The brow has obviously the brow. He's got the beard. Cole Anthony, be smart. Bring back the rec specs.
Well, I like that he has the locks in his hair, so that's going to be great. But let's talk about how you visualize his career going. You know, talk about longevity. Austin Rivers is a great example. Jalen Brunson is a more recent example of a guy whose father played in the NBA. He's having success in his first couple of years with the Dallas Mavericks. So where do you see him stacking up? Is he a starting point guard that's going to be that guy for whatever team drafts him?
I think he still needs to evolve from that position. I think you hit the nail on the head. That's what he's going to have to play because he's not 6'7", right? He's only 6'3", and only, right? But that's the position that he's more than likely going to have to play, combo guard. And I think he has to get better in the pick and roll. It's hard to see what type of passer he is, but when he has talent around him, that might be a whole different story. I don't want to say this was a throwaway year at North Carolina, but because of the lack of talent and all of the losing, I don't think we saw the best of Cole Anthony. I think the best is yet to come.